Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is August, and we have officially hit the dog days of summer here in Western New York.
It is hot.
Yeah, it's hot. The days are getting shorter, though, and you kind of know that change is coming. So it's the perfect time to sink yourself into a story that sweeps you away. Whether you're stretched out on a hammock or looking for something to just keep you company while you're hiding from the heat, we've got some books that deliver. So Molly and I are going to give you some picks that we have rated at least 3 stars, so 3, 4, and 5 stars to kind of get you through the last days of summer.
Yeah, and some people, I tend to rate things pretty conservatively. I don't have many 5-star reads. A 3-star for me is a solid read. Like, it's good. I enjoyed it. I know some people rate lots of things all 4 and 5 stars. I tend to be a little more.
Yeah, my average rating
stingy with
is
my
definitely
5.
like 3 point something. So
Yeah.
I'm the same. Like 3 stars is like, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
So. All right, my first one, I'm going to jump right in, was called These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean. Mm-hmm. This was my 3-star read, but I would say if you like author Ellen Hildebrand and kind of like a summer with a little bit of mystery, a little bit of romance, you would probably like this book. And I think a lot of people have. So These Summer Storms is a contemporary drama. We have an uber-rich patriarch who almost sounds like the person that, like Steve Jobs or something. Like, we're talking high-level billionaire. He dies in an accident because he's also like one of these people that does air gliding and risk-taking. So now...
The bored rich man.
Yes.
With the
his
dangerous
wife
hobbies.
and his 4 children are locked in a game to win a portion of his inheritance. So he has laid down this challenge, and in order to win, everybody must play.
Okay.
So we have Alice Storm, and she is not like the other Storm siblings, because while the rest of them have all stayed pretty much under their father's tight control in order to have their rich, wealthy lives, she has kind of bucked the system. She's out on her own. She's a teacher. She's an artist, rents her own apartment, And of course, her family hasn't spoken to her in about 5 years since this happened. So when she gets the phone call that her father dies, of course, she's summoned back in, and she's on her way. And doesn't she meet a dark, handsome stranger on the train who saves her from the paparazzi? She decides to have a one-night stand because she figures, oh, yeah, I'm never going to see this guy again. Oh,
Was
Alice.
he like the lawyer
Yeah.
or something? Okay.
You can see this coming from a mile away.
He's obviously involved in this inheritance.
So who is he really, and why is he traveling the same way? So we have this week on Storm Island. Of course, they have an island named after themselves.
Yes. As one does.
Yes, off the coast of Rhode Island, And everybody has an impossible task that, he's pretty much sticking it to each one of these people. So the oldest sister is having a secret affair with like a chauffeur that everyone knows about, so she's like forbidden to see him. This is the kind of thing this man is doing. So he's playing with them even from the grave. The oldest brother who wants to take over the company is really not that smart. I think the patriarch wanted Alice to take over the company, and she bailed on him. His wife is one of the greediest people that ever stepped foot on God's green earth.
Is it the mother of all these kids, or is it like a second wife or something?
No, this is one of the son's mothers.
Oh, okay.
So the mother has a penchant of stirring up trouble between her children. The youngest sister is kind of like very free-spirited, into crystals, yoga, has a wife. So she's on a little bit of different path. Then we have Alice. And, of course, all these people are under the watchful eye of Jack Dean, her father's, fairly good-looking second in command, who was the person
Who was on the train.
Right,
yes.
Who was on the train. So it's a miracle if Alice is going to escape this week unscathed and also not in love. So, yeah, it's kind of if you
Little
can't
soap
take it
opera, yeah.
right, you can't take it too seriously. Kind of reminds me of that Ellen Hildebrand, where that family, that wedding. What was that one on Netflix? You know,
I don't know. I've never read an
Yeah.
Ellen Hildebrand
So-
book. Yeah.
but very much the same vibe. Ultra rich people behaving badly. You know, always entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my 3-star book also was recommended for fans of Ellen Hildebrand.
Oh, my.
It came out in May. I feel like it's a really good summer vacation book if you want a little bit of family drama and a really nice setting. It's called Main Characters by Hannah Orenstein, and it follows 2 women. Vivian is a 30-something-year-old, very ambitious, very successful sommelier. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. One of those wine people from New York City. She has had it all her entire life. Private schools, college tuition all paid for, had the good life. She is on the way to her father's vacation home on a lovely lake in Maine. And she's not there to go on a vacation. Unfortunately, she's going to scatter her father's ashes. He died unexpectedly, collapsed in the subway. He was pretty young, 54, I think. And so she's going to the vacation home to scatter his ashes. Also to get the house ready for sale, because even though she spent the month of August of her childhood with her father there, she doesn't want to hang on to it, and she wants money to do her next big venture. She's going to buy a wine bar. So she gets to the lake house in Maine and is a little bit shocked to discover someone else is there.
Uh-oh.
Another woman about her age named Lucy. Turns out Lucy is also her father's daughter. And yes, and they are half siblings. Now, Lucy knew about her father's other family. Lucy really only saw her dad growing up in July at the Maine lake house. So she knew about Vivian and this other family, and she was kind of envious, and in all these years has been tracking like the success of Vivian, and while she's a bit jealous that that's the family her father chose, she also always kind of wanted to meet Vivian and maybe have a sister. So when Vivian gets there, she knew her father had some dark secrets, but she's still surprised by Lucy being there. Lucy didn't know their father died, so she's devastated by that news. And of course, she's also really upset that Vivian is going to sell this lake house. It's the only place Lucy has good memories of her father. And Lucy kind of had the opposite upbringing of Vivian. She stayed in this Maine town with her single mom. They struggled for money. And Lucy's now like a high school English teacher, has a crumbling marriage. So through various circumstances, the 2 half-sisters end up having to spend the summer together in this lake house. And of course, they start unpacking all the secrets and betrayals and lies of their father. And, there's some romantic subplots in it. And what I liked about this book, my 2 favorite things are, one, the cover. It's got a gorgeous cover.
Oh, it did have a gorgeous cover. I
Yes.
remember it.
And the second, the author did a really good job of just making you feel like you were at this Maine lake house. The author splits her time between Brooklyn and a lake house in Maine. She
Nice.
wrote most of this book on a little boat in the lake, on a, writing longhand in a journal.
Wow.
And she said she really wanted to whisk the readers away to a lake in Maine. And I feel like she succeeded in that. So
That's
I
good.
recommend it.
Yeah. All right. So my next one, as we go up in stars, we go up in drama. So I read, and I believe you read this one
Yes.
too. This one is called The Compound by Aisling Rawle. And this is a debut, and it was an Irish author.
Yeah.
And The Compound, it was addictive to read in a way.
Definitely a page turner.
Yes, a page turner. So here's the setup of this book. It starts with you start the book, and the cover is like people in a pool, but when you're looking out in the background, you see like fires, and it's kind of brown.
It's
so
like a desert kind
yeah,
of a,
so you know that this is set in a place that it's not really great. So we're thinking distant future, although it's never really specified.
yeah.
But so 10 women wake up in this bizarre compound in an undisclosed location in the middle of the desert for a reality TV show.
Yep.
It feels very dystopian. It's supposed to be a gorgeous house, but it's really in a state of disarray and things are not right. So our main character that we start following is Lily. And Lily is, of course, stunningly beautiful.
As they all pretty much are in
Yes.
this book, yes.
Yes. And she's a beautiful 20-something that she wants. On this show, you are rewarded when you do certain tasks with like luxury items, like think, expensive makeups and clothing and all different things. But yet the people also have to compete for basic things like food and shelter and
Yeah, they don't
furniture.
even have a door.
Right.
And, wild animals are getting in at night, so they need to
Right.
to
They don't
compete
have
to
a
get
door
wood.
on the bathroom.
Yes,
Like, so as the women are waiting for the men to show up, only 9 men arrive. And immediately, okay, something's really off here.
Something bad happened to guy number 10.
Yeah. So, and the competition becomes more unhinged as time progresses. The compound has a lot of different rules, and one of the main rules is if you wake up alone, you're instantly banished. So this sets up the premise that you've got to pair up with someone. Like, so how is this going to happen? So everybody's trying to find their person, so to be. So the descriptions of this book compare it to Love Island, which I've never watched.
Yeah, I
but
know.
if Love Island met Lord of the Flies,
Yeah, kind of like a Survivor
Yeah.
vibe, too, if Survivor was really nasty.
right. So the book really says a lot about the voyeurism of people that watch a lot of reality TV shows and just how much people are willing to do for fame and stuff.
There's a lot of things about like gender roles and different standards of, beauty for men and women that it was interesting. I liked it.
Yeah. One of the first things, I don't think this is given away, is the men had to like rate the women in order of attractiveness.
Yes.
You
They
know.
lined them up.
Right.
They consulted among themselves and lined them up in order.
Right, as to who would be the best. So many of the characters are really unlikable. There's one like really good guy in the show.
Yep.
And I was kind of rooting for him, but it ended pretty much on I was not expecting the ending. And I still think about it, but I can't really say like I loved these people, but it was interesting. It kept you turning the pages to see what would happen and what Lily would be willing to do for Chanel perfume and
Right.
a luxury robe.
Yeah. And also it gave, just like a page description of what outside life was like. And again, it's kind of like this maybe near future dystopia. And it did not sound good on the outside.
No, it did not.
Wars and disease. And
Yeah.
so that kind of adds another layer to it.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I liked this book too.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Well, my 4-star book is pretty different than that one. It came out, I think, earlier this year. It's called Floriana by Midge Raymond. And this one's a bit of a genre mashup. It's kind of a historical fiction mystery with some like strong ecological and environmental themes to it. It is based loosely on real events known as the Galapagos Affair, which happened in the early 1930s. So this is a true mystery. And it took place on the remote island of Floriana, which is in the Galapagos. And it involved a group of the first settlers of the island, a small group of European settlers. There was kind of 3 separate groups, and there were power struggles and romantic entanglements between all the groups that resulted in several unexplained disappearances and some murder.
Ooh.
And it hasn't been solved to this day. So this book is one scenario that the author imagined, what could have happened on this island. So it's a dual timeline story. Our present day timeline involves a woman named Mallory. She's a wildlife biologist. She is coming back to the island of Floriana after being away for 10 years. In that 10 years, she's gotten married, had a kid. Things aren't going so well now. She's separating from her husband. And she kind of goes back to the island with the thought of, what if I could just step back 10 years in time, kind of take up my old life? So she goes to the island to help out her former lover and mentor, a guy named Gavin, with this wildlife conservation project. What I liked about the present day timeline was you learned a lot about climate change and invasive species and how it all affects this species of Galapagos penguin, which I guess is the only penguin north of the equator. So I found that interesting. But Mallory finds a whole stash of handwritten journals hidden in a cave from 100 years ago that details the life of one of those first settlers.
Okay.
So that's the historical aspect. And the journals are of a woman who really existed named Dore Strauch. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But she was a German woman. She was married, had an unhappy marriage, decided to come to this island with her doctor lover and kind of get a fresh start. She had a chronic illness. I don't think they say what it is, but it seems like it might have been like MS, and her and the doctor thought that the fresh air and water of this island would cure her. So they get to the island. Things, of course, are not as idyllic as they seem. They have to struggle for food and shelter and water, and then these other settlers arrive, and one of them is just crazy. She's a self-proclaimed baroness from Austria, and oh yeah, she brought these two German guys along as her lovers. And so things kind of get crazy, again, based on those true events, and a little mystery unfolds. I thought this book was very interesting for various reasons. I like the true history aspect, the environmental aspect, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was different.
I read another book by her called My Last Continent, and that was one of my favorite books from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And she must have a thing for penguins, because that one was about like Antarctica penguins
Right.
and a researcher that goes down and marriage issues and and also how tourism boats were going down there and affecting the environment and so forth. So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, the author said, she didn't set out to write like another book about penguins, but it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And the author makes some really interesting observations, that the present day woman Mallory and the one from the 1930s, like they have a little bit of parallel lives, and you see how some things for women are, really different and better 100 years later, but some stuff remains the same.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I liked it.
All right, so on to my 5-star read, and this one is called The Bright Years by Sarah Damoff. And this one is another debut, which was pretty astonishing to me. And I believe this author is also like a family counselor and everything,
Okay.
which plays into the storyline of this book. So you have one family. We talk about 4 generations, a secret son, a devastating addiction, and they all live in Texas. Lots of loss in the family, surprising inheritance. I would say if you like books by Mary Beth Keane or Claire Lombardo, you would probably love this book. And a family drama with all these generations, you would think it's going to be like, what, 700 pages? No,
At
it
least
was
400 or
less.
500.
It was less than 300 pages.
Okay, I'm
So
in.
she describes these people, you get invested in these characters and wrap it up in less than 300 pages, which to me is a plus. So our main characters are Ryan and Lily Bright. They fall deeply in love. They met at a public library in Austin in 1979. So how can you not be like, So they marry, and now they're parents to a little baby girl, Georgette. But Lillian has a son that she never told Ryan about, that she put up for adoption. And Ryan has an alcohol addiction that he never told Lillian about. So Georgette comes of age watching this marriage rise and fall with the effects of these two secrets. When a shocking blow actually scatters this fragile trio, Georgette tries to distance herself kind of from her family, and then she's got to make a decision as to whether she lets herself back in. And meanwhile, Lillian's son comes back and finds Georgette. So now she has this half-brother, and she has to decide, how much of a part of her life is he going to be? So the story is told from 3 points of view. We have Lillian, who was the mom. She's a bank teller. She is carrying the emotional weight of giving up her child for adoption. She also comes from tragedy. Her mom died of cancer, and her father, I believe, was killed by a drunk driver. So that really adds to it.
Yeah.
Ryan is the husband, and he is an aspiring artist, has a gallery in the town, battling alcoholism. And his point of view really gives you the effect of generational trauma because his father was abusive, also a drinker. Mom actually left with Ryan in the middle of the night to build a new life. So there's a lot of reasons for the way he is. And I feel like he was portrayed in a way that, normally people are portrayed as either white or black, like he's either a good guy or bad guy.
Yeah.
But he had good moments. He had bad moments. He was, you could really relate to him. And then you have the daughter, Georgette. So we kind of go through time with these people. So each voice adds some depth to the story. I kind of was interested in all of their stories, which is really kind of unusual. Most of the
usually
time
you're more
gravitating
into one, and you're
towards
one.
one.
I want to go back to that storyline. But I gotta.
And I
get
felt
through this
like, the pregnancy and the abuse and everything was all handled very well and very realistically. So that was my thoughts on that book. My 5-star read. I think it might end up on one of my favorites for the year.
Cool.
So.
So my 5-star read, and I looked back. I've read about 85 books this year. I've only given 3 5-star ratings out.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm stingy. This one, excuse me, is called "The Road to Tender Hearts" by Annie Hartnett, and the year is 2014. It's set in a boring town called Pondville, Massachusetts. The main character is named PJ Halliday, and he's a 63-year-old guy, and PJ has some issues. He recently won the lottery, so he has $1.5 million in winnings, and I would say his main tragedy in his life happened 15 years prior. His eldest daughter died her senior in high school, and he's never really gotten over that.
Yeah.
He has one other daughter who's living named Sophie. She's in her 20s. She's got her own issues, kind of adrift, and they don't have the best relationship. PJ also is a bit of a hoarder. He's divorced. He is an alcoholic. 10 years prior, he lost his job, his pension, and his license. He was a post office worker, and he lost his job when he drove the mail truck into a pond while intoxicated. So PJ doesn't go many places because he doesn't have a car. He walks everywhere, mainly to the bar every single day. He also walks to his ex-wife's house down the street where she lives with her fiance because they're still on very good terms. And every morning his ex-wife gives him breakfast, lets him read the newspaper. So PJ is an interesting guy. He sounds terrible on paper, but everybody loves PJ. He's kind of overweight. He's got a scraggly beard. He wears the same weird zip-up jacket with polar bears on it. But women love him. They like his green eyes. He reads poetry. He listens to classical music. He can fix their cars, and he tells a good joke. So PJ, like I say, he sounds terrible on paper, but everybody likes him, and as the reader, you're rooting for this guy. So some things happen all at about during the same week. First of all, PJ becomes the guardian to two little kids, Luna and Ollie. They are recently orphaned, and PJ's the only surviving relative. They were like his estranged brother's grandkids. So he ends up with these kids. He is not the ideal guardian, but there's no one else. And PJ wants to help out, and he also kind of has this idea that, I didn't do so well parenting the first time around. This time I'm going to get it better. He also discovers through reading the morning newspaper at his ex-wife's house that the high school crush he had, her husband just died. He reads the obituary, and he gets it into his head that he is going to drive across the country to where this high school flame or crush, they never got together, but the high school crush lived, and win her back. She's the one that got away. But now he has these two kids, so he has to take them along. His adult daughter, Sophie, decides she better come along with Dad to help take care of the kids and to drive. And, PJ has had 3 heart attacks recently, so she wants to make sure that he doesn't drop dead. And to round out the cast of characters is my favorite, Pancakes, the orange cat. Pancakes recently kind of adopted PJ. He was dropped off at a local animal shelter where he soon escaped. And the reason he was dropped off at the animal shelter was Pancakes was kind of the therapy cat at the local nursing home.
Oh, no.
But they decided that Pancakes was an agent of death. So if Pancakes started hanging out in a resident's room,
oh dear,
sure enough, that resident was going to die real soon.
And now he's found our noble hero, PJ.
Yes, so they go on this road trip. This book, I love this book. I thought it was hilarious, but if you are not into dark humor, you will not like this book. In the author's note at the end, she said she tried to take every worry and fear she had ever had and the most terrible things she could think of. She challenged herself to put them in a book and yet make it the funniest book she has ever written.
That sounds good, actually.
And when I say like bad things happening, it's child abuse, it is suicide, it is murder, it is addiction, infidelity, everything. And of course you have Pancakes. If he's rubbing up against somebody's leg, they just happen to mention it in one sentence, there's going to be some weird twisted death happening in the next paragraph. So I thought this book was hilarious, but I think it's gotten really good reviews.
I have seen some really good reviews.
Like maybe it's not for everyone.
Right.
And there's lots of details. Like the kids are always throwing up. Like one of the little boy is always jumping on the trampoline after he's had a blue big gulp and he's spewing out blue vomit with gummy worms in it.
Yeah.
It's got all these like weird details that I thought was funny. So
that sounds fun. Sounds like if you're in the mood for a good road trip book too, that would check that box.
Yeah, there's a definite, they're traveling across the country and things happen. I think it's about 400 pages and there's a lot in there that I didn't even get into, like side plots and whatnot. But somehow it all works.
All right.
So,
well, so there's your books to finish the summer. And something that we got some really eclectic choices there. So something should appeal to you to get you through till September, when we will start to talk more about fall books. And also in September, we are bringing back the Love Your Library Day. And that, we can't tell you yet, but there's going to be some fun things here at the library.
Yep, September 20th,
right.
I think from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Right.
Fun for the whole family.
Right. There will be characters visiting. There will be tons of fun things. So we hope the end of your summer is great, and we will be seeing you in September.
Thank you.
Bye.
Book Break is a production of the Reese Public Library, made possible through the support of the Friends of the Reese Public Library. Theme music composed and performed by Sean Greif.